Hi everyone, this is Jennifer Yumi from Bangladesh, and I'm going to talk about climate justice in Bangladesh, which is also a part of Global South like Vietnam and Cambodia. So I'll start by sharing an experience I had during a trip when I was 15. I lived in Dhaka, the capital city of Bangladesh, all my life, and I once went on a trip to the countryside called Mymensingh with my family. So Mymensingh here is a hilly area in Bangladesh, as you can see in the picture. And now you must be wondering where Bangladesh is. So let's take a quick look. So you can see Bangladesh here on the map. It is a very small country in South Asia, sharing borders with India and Myanmar. And there are very few hilly areas in Bangladesh on the north here and the southeastern sides of the country. And in the south are mostly very low-lying areas of land, which is very vulnerable to flooding and storms, which are frequently developed in the Bay of Bengal. And I am from this part of Bangladesh, and I went on my trip to Mymensingh, which is situated in the north. Okay, so back to my trip story. So we were sleeping in our hotel when we suddenly hear people screaming at 5 a.m. in the morning. There was a sudden flash flood, and some houses were swept away by the force of water coming down from the hills. And just like that, our trip turned into a nightmare. And the following pictures here, starting from the slides, were all taken during the trip. So in the north of the country, as I had shown, hilly areas usually have these flash floods during summer without any specific warning from the weather forecast. And in the south, low-lying areas, there are several floods during the year. More than 4.5 million of Bangladesh's 170 million people are at risk of river flooding every year. And according to the World Bank, the floods in Bangladesh cause an estimated $1 billion in damages and losses every single year. These floods are caused by heavy monsoon rains, upstream water releases from neighboring countries. And just on a side note, Bangladesh's poverty line percentage is 10.44. So poverty line is how people live under $1.90 per day. So in Bangladesh, cyclones and floods were always a common phenomenon for its geographical location. But according to the Bangladesh Meteorological Department, the intensity, frequency, and severity of these natural phenomena have increased as a result of climate changes and higher sea temperatures. And during my trip is when I realized the privilege I have of living in the capital city without these natural disasters. Privilege is indeed invisible to those who have it. And these floods and storms are one of the strongest drivers of poverty and inequality in the country. Just a few weeks ago, I was visiting my country, Bangladesh, and I realized it was too dangerous to be out on the streets too long, as I might stand a chance of suffering from heat stroke. During my short 2-week trip, the government announced to close schools and universities, forcing 33 million children out of schools across the country. And the official death toll reported by authorities was at least 15, though the actual number may be much higher according to some media reports. So this news article from The Guardian shows just 57 companies across the world are mainly responsible for global carbon emissions. So what about those who only make up for a very small portion of global emissions? who will provide justice to us? This data shows the annual CO2 emissions per capita taken from our world in data. And here, Bangladesh only accounts for 0.55 tons CO2 emissions per capita, while other countries are as high as 10 to 20 tons per capita. So what can we do? There are many grassroots level mobilizations in place at the moment. The first one is reforestation campaign. So there are many community-based campaigns which are in place to plant trees across the country and also around the riverbanks to slow down the force of flood flow into the villages. And the second one are community-based adaptation initiatives. So Bangladesh is an agricultural-based country. So activities such as building flood-resistant houses and creating water harvesting structures and promoting crop diversification are some ways of grassroots level mobilizations. And more youth are dedicated to this nowadays. So these are my references, and thank you very much.